comments or?
I do. So I just have some notes here. I'd like to speak in support. I know that there's going to be on the agenda an appointment for a resignation from the board. So at this point, I'd like to speak in support of Penny Coulson-Sanchez. I know that Penny interviewed with Craig and Dan last month after expressing her interest in this appointment. As Penny was the recipient of the second highest number of votes during the last election, second only to Carl Quinn, who will be joining the board after the new year. This election solidly identifies her as the voter's choice for this position. Now, I understand that this is an appointment to a position, not an election. However, as your collective association with Connect Ghent and their claim of bipartisanship rang true with so many independents this last election, I'm sure appointing an additional Democrat to the governing body to ensure balance to the board remains. Only extends the efforts and claims of the Connect Ghent that it continues to reign true in the future as well. I believe, after all, that Linda, a Republican, was appointed to take the place of Cody, a Democrat, and that balancing of 1-for-1 would certainly prove the claims of Craig's and Ben's and Shelley's supporters at Connect Ghent. Finally, you're losing a valuable voice at the table that simply cannot be replaced by any other contestant for this appointment. That voice is the voice of the women of Ghent, New York. Linda has been able to ensure that women have been considered on this board, and Penny would be able to continue to provide that representation going forward. And I'm sure that this committee will vote with a better conscience and avoid partisan politics, recognize the voice of the voters of the last election, and support the claims of bipartisanship from Connect Ghent. And finally, ensuring that the continued representation of the voice of women is in this community is further. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments out there? State your name.
My name is Beth Servitor. I live in Ghent, and you nailed it. So I'm not going to repeat what I just said, but I'm definitely here to speak in support of Penny appointment to that seat.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Nancy Strauss, and I completely agree with that and supported Penny.
Thank you, Nancy.
Yeah.
Hello, Eddie Allen, and wow, that was quite articulate. I wish I could have put it in those words, but I also am here to support Penny as well.
Thanks, Eddie.
Barney Canuzzi and what they all said.
Thank you.
Question? Peter Stern, will that appointment in fact be announced tonight?
I believe it will be.
The vote is on the agenda. It doesn't mean we're going to reach a consensus, but.
And how do you arrive at that vote? Majority of the.
This is public comment time. Is there anybody else from the public that has a comment on the topic tonight?
Leslie Corden and I'm sure with Fred totally.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Leslie Corda, Korda.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Nancy Strauss again. How do you arrive at the vote? Did you say that and I missed it? Or?
We just collect comment during this period. When we get to the actual voting nomination, we'll discuss process.
Thank you.
Beth Monahan's Ghent, and I agree with Fred and everyone else here, but it's so unfortunate that Linda and the family have had to endure, and we miss her presence. I do agree with Fred that it's helpful to have a qualified, everybody on the board should be qualified. Penny was unique in presenting herself and canvassing for the support of our residents. Many days doing that work, and I think the results of the vote show that the residents of Ghent have confidence in her, and I think that should be weighed. I know that she presented her case to you as board members, but I also think there's nothing like an election to understand what the residents are thinking.
Any other? Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
Dave O'Connor.
Yeah, Dave O'Connor, Village Chatham, Town of Ghent. One other qualification that Penny brings that I think is really essential for your constituents is her knowledge of insurance and healthcare. And it's highly likely that there are going to be changes going on over the next weeks, months, and years And Penny brings industry knowledge of that can help the board government and residents navigate that. Again, another one of the many talents that Penny would bring. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Anybody else from items on our agenda tonight for a comment? Okay, close public comment at this point, and I will ask for a motion to accept the minutes. Moment everybody's been waiting for. Town board appointment. We did some interviews. Spoke with several people. I think every board member had an opportunity to speak to several. We had letters of interest and we addressed it very similar to every other fashion that we've done since I've been here. And do you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I mean, I have a few thoughts. One is I wanted to just lay out the process a little bit. We did have an executive session where Matt advised us on obligation. The town board does value the sanctity of an election. So we're going to call for a special election on November 3rd of 2026. That will be to vote in the town board member or a town board member for the last year of the term that's been vacated by Linda. So that's next November. And that person, whoever wins that election, will begin January 1st of 27. They can be sworn in and they will serve for 1 year. And then that automatically comes up for re-election. That's just kind of how the election cycle sorts out. That will coordinate as it happens with my term as well. As Craig mentioned, we've spoken to a bunch of candidates. Some of us spoke to different candidates. I spoke to at least 5 candidates. We received letters of interest officially from 2 of them, and we granted official interviews, to both of the people who expressed 2 letters of interest. Not surprisingly, this is not a job that everybody wants. And so several of the people that we talked to said, "Are you kidding?" Tonight, we're going to accept nominations from the town board, and if we reach majority, we will appoint a member to fulfill the term from tonight, in essence, until 12/31/26, the end of next year. I wanted to take a moment to address some of the things that I heard kind of repetitively in the correspondence from the folks over the last few weeks, and I appreciate the feedback. Certainly, we're going to honor the outcome of the election. To me, that means that we provide a safe and secure environment within which to hold a free election, and we agree to and ensure the peaceful transition of power based on certified election results generated by the County Board of Elections. That, to me, is how you honor an election. One of the things that we've been asked to do is to consider Penny, because she was one of the candidates during the most recent election. And that does not hold any sway with me. Appointing someone who lost an election does not grant them first in line status for any role. If you look at precedent or law in the state of New York or in the United States, that's not how this works anywhere. Every elected official has a succession plan. If President Trump something should befall him, we have a process by which we have a new president. We don't select Kamala Harris. That's not how this works. The role of the voters in an election is what gets done by the Board of Elections. So they tell us what happened during the election. That election applies only to the seats that the people were candidates for, and it doesn't apply to anything else. And lastly, I think it's important to remember that the election process is political. We are not political. This is not a political board, it's a governing board. The candidates who are on the ballot were selected by political parties. They're not government entities, they're political parties. So they listen to their political constituents, they nominate somebody, and those are the people that you have to vote for when you are presented with a ballot. We did not, as a board, feel as though we had to be limited to the 2 remaining people who are on the ballot who didn't get elected. we were certainly willing to consider the people who are on the ballot. And Penny did send a letter of interest, and we did interview Penny. I think the last thing I'd like to say is we do have to consider the will of the voters, but we mostly have to consider the needs of the town. And 800 votes is a small fraction of the total town. There's 5,300 people in this town. So we make our decision based on what we think is best for the town, not what happened during a political process that we don't control. And frankly, I am frightened by the notion of a legislative entity having some sort of impact or taking their direction from an election that doesn't have anything to do with them.
That was very well put, Dan, and I appreciate that. And in that, unless nobody has any comments, I would like to take some time and nominate the person that interviewed the best with me. And I feel, and it is my job, that suits this town of Ghent the best. And my nomination is Marie Meltz.
If there's no discussion, I would like to second that nomination.
Any discussion?
Discussion.
I'd like to appoint, I'd like to call a vote to appoint Marie Meltz.
Aye.
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 Aye. Congratulations,
Congratulations
Marie.
and
I know
condolences.
you're gonna do a great job.
Yes.
You only have a year. If you don't like it, or us.
We'll give it out already.
I'm scared.
But I know you'll do good. You've been around for a long time with us, already helping, so I was really glad you stepped up. Thank you.
Yep.
It's not an easy job.
I would like to just, Marie, because we did an interview, I have your contact information. Carl, I don't have your contact information. So I'm planning to do a 1-hour sit down with new board members if they're interested to just kind of talk about the nuts and bolts of,
Absolutely.
you can't learn everything in an hour, but it'll help you assimilate on the first day. So if you send me your contact information to my town email address, I'll be happy to help set that up with you.
Did you
What else we got?
I want to take a minute and thank Scott.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Topics discussed at meeting. That was about everything tonight, fellas. Ladies. Say your name for the record.
Joe.
I just wanted to say that, one thing, in reviewing the last election, there was one comment made, that, my party considered the other party the enemy. And I want to make certain people understand that we do not. But we do think that democracy is important, and we think that it's important to have or offer choices to the voters.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I said, we think it's important in a democracy that we offer choices for voters. And we believe that's what we've done. I also wanted to comment that although I respect the idea that sitting office holders are not political, in many cases they can be. And having observed the town board for about 5 years, I would say there are times it's difficult to not enter into political stands there. But so I just wanted to make that statement, since you made the statement that you were not political. And I think it's a challenge to all of us. And I wish that our office holders in higher office would do the same thing and realize that, yes, we are a government and we should go. So I just wanted to offer that. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
I'm not familiar with Marie. Does she have a party affiliation?
I wouldn't know, and I wouldn't put her on the spot.
I wouldn't ask.
Here.
What's your name again?
Peter Stern.
If you're really that interested, I'm pretty sure the voting records are public.
Any other comments? Yes, state your name
Please stand and state your name.
in full.
Catherine Garofaldi. I also live here in the town. I want to say, especially just kind of observing this board meeting, I've observed many. Watching you all work and get through these complicated issues, including keeping our roads clean all the way down to fire department contracts, all of this that we just saw tonight and we see every month happen, tells me that you all know what you're doing and you know what skills you need in order to move through the next year smoothly on behalf of all of us who live in this town. And I appreciate your effort in finding the right candidate to appoint to this seat for 1 year. And thanks to Marie for stepping up to be that person.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the?
Kenneth Fay, I live in Ghent as well. And I have a question about the highway conversation that was happening. The state is revising plans for salting roads based on some studies that were done in the Adirondacks. Is that being considered with the?
Oh,
Yeah.
I wish you were here a year ago when Ben brought this concept to us.
So, this was
We do
brought
it.
to my attention about 9 to 10 years ago. And when I took office, the town again was using about 1,200 ton of salt per year. We are down between 400 and 600 ton of salt currently. And I am trying to reduce that the best I can. A lot of it depends on what the weather is. Public safety is number one. So yes, I am very cautious about how we are maintaining the roads with the salt and how it affects the ecosystems. On the other hand, I have a job to do and make sure that the roads are safe. And that is one of the reasons why we're looking to upgrade one of the plows to make sure that we can, the different plows, different designs, different weights, make a difference as to how they scrape the road. Our big plows, they're not designed to scrape the road down to bare road. They're designed to move bulk material. So the smaller plows do a little bit better job with that. The particular plow that we're trying to change out right now, it tends on floating up. If you go by the town garage here on any given storm, that is hard packed. I have the most aggressive plow out of the entire fleet, and I can't even rip it down to bare road. I do my best. I did it before even my crew gets here. I'm on this road. There's so much traffic on it. So that changes a lot of the factor. We're not the state of New York. We're running 24 hours. So that plays a lot of the factor as well. So same thing with the county. They run a lot more than we do. We have to worry about different things than the county does. The county is almost 100% complete blacktop. They do some chip seal. We are not. We are pug mill. We are chip seal. We do some macadam, and we also have dirt roads. And that all plays a factor as to how much we can put on our dirt roads. We cannot put near as much salt on because it will destroy the road. We'll start having frost heaves, even more clay comes out of it. A lot of factors going on. But yes, I've been sitting on multiple boards. I just stay here. The 1st of January, I'll actually be taking the seat as the representative for the state of New York for 6 counties around us as a state liaison, as I am for Columbia County. I'm the president for the Highway Association here. So dealing with those issues, these will bring me up to different meeting levels with more state heads to have those discussions. I've had discussions with people like Dee Barrett, Kathy Marchione back in the day when she was in office regarding these situations and our concern for the watershed. So
Thanks.
yes, we are doing our darndest to keep up with everything that's changing today.
Thank you.
Everything you ever wanted to know about.
That's why
It's like every time he speaks, it's like a class in roads.
Any other comments?
Kenneth Fay again, on the topic of the appointment. It was mentioned that the voters are limited in their choices. And I just want to remind everybody that there are write-ins available if that was ever a concern, and that people across all party lines voted across all different spectrums, and it should never be assumed that one party only received votes by that party.
Absolutely.
So I just want to remind that as we're talking about working across.
Thank you, Kenneth. Any other questions, or comments? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I would make a motion to adjourn.
Get a second? Better give it to me. I let him wear my shirt.
I'll second.
Let's go.
All in favor?
All in favor?
All right. We're adjourned. Thank you, folks.
Thank you guys for coming out tonight.